You are listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. The Five Rings Podcast, 2016 Rio Summer Olympics edition on the Sports Podcasting Network.
Welcome to the first weekday edition of the Five Rings Live podcast. Kevin Laramee joins me in Montreal. I'm in Toronto as always. How you doing, Kevin?
I am doing great, Duane. Well, I have doing great, but I do have a couple rants in me because of what happened in the Olympics on late day 2 and day 3. You know, a lot of bad things are going on, and sometimes it's just a centimeter or a millimeter away from life and death, literally, in competition. But no, outside of that, I'm actually doing pretty good.
All right, fair enough. It's been a busy, it's been a long time in the context of the Summer Games. It has been an eternity since we last gave out our gold, silver, bronze, and wood medals because there's so much going on.
It's been like 28 hours since our last live show. So we're kind of actually having like a day and a half almost to review.
Well, when I was preparing them, naturally, it's recency bias, right? Naturally, your mind goes to the things that happened most recently. In the Summer Games, so much happens in such a short period of time. Bang, 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 bang. I almost forgot about last night's affair. So I suspect that last night's going to get the short stick in this because we put this out before the evening thing. So we should mention Penny real quick. And I don't think I need to say her last name anymore. It's just Penny now.
She's our Penny. She's the Penny. She's the golden or silver Penny.
She's a bronze penny now, a silver penny. That's maybe she'll go one step higher. I mean, first off, this is a charming young lady. She's a teenager, and it seems every bit of the way she's kind of got that awkward charm to her.
And you know what?
Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
Sports family is something that I think is underrated in nowadays. Her brother is 6'8", plays for the Dallas Stars. Her other brother has an NCAA career. I can't remember which sports, but they're all athletes and they all push each other. And there's many other families in Canada and Team Canada and other
nurses.
Exactly. They're playing and they're helping each other. They're like the oldest is showing the youngest what it takes for the discipline, the sacrifices. When we tell sacrifice, is not the time away from home, is the effort. It's the exhaustion that you have to do day in, day out. And to get that level, when you push each other, sports families can literally produce athletes, not because of genetics. That's a small part of it. It's the work rate. It's the attitude, the discipline, the nutrition. And that's when you get when you have a sports family.
Fair enough. All right. I thought I'd bring her up real quick in case we don't get to her again. I don't know what Kevin's medals are as usual. I know she's not on mine. I'll give you that hint now. And that's because, again, there's so much that happens. And today had a lot to talk about as well. She won an individual medal. It's the first time a Canadian female swimmer had won an individual medal in 20 years.
Yep.
That's crazy to me because I became enamored with the Olympics when Canada constantly won swimming medals. It was probably the only sport that they did consistently win in.
Which means the exact opposite, Wayne. That's a 20-year difference where I'm never used to seeing athletes from Canada win in the pool. Never mind the sex of the athlete. I never see them usually win in the pool. It's not something I'm used to.
Yeah, and look, the rowers, to me, it's the opposite flip. The rowers, they used to always win, and I'm sure that's what you're used to. Is when you first started to become interested in the Olympics, it was always the rowers winning. Yep. And now, as we'll see, maybe they might end that drought. They might be able to get it done, but so far there's been a lot of problems there. But anyway, 20 years without a female winning in the pool. She got it done yesterday. But I think on that note, Kevin, we should probably just jump in and get into our medals of the day because I know you have a lot you want to say on the wood medal front. So we'll let you get started right away.
I have 2 woods for today, Duane. That's the kind of last 28 hours. It was my first wood is to Milos Raonic. Why? I hope you regret Milos right now not going to Rio because the field is just wide open now. Djokovic lost. Your Achilles heel is not in the tournament anymore. Only Murray is still there, and he lost in doubles already. So, you would have had a chance on hard surfers to eke a result out there. So Milos, maybe you're not regretting. Maybe you're okay with your decision, but you would have probably done really good in that tournament, and you had a chance in a very small field to maybe get to a not easy, but quite potential and probable medal. I hope you regret it. That's my first wood, Duane. My second is the rent that's been brewing. It's a repeat wood medal. I think this is the first time in the history of this show we have a repeat wood medal. This time is the women's road course cycling course itself. It's a devastating course that almost could have cost the life of, let me pronounce the name correctly. I have it right in front of me. Annemiek van Vleuten. She crashed. She was all alone. She was the leader of the women's road race in a dangerous, perilous descent. She lost the grip on her front wheel and did a front flip, and she landed literally on her collarbone in her face flat, very close to the curb in a descent. Her spine is small fractures in three different places. She got so small fractures in her back, concussion due to a horrific crash, and she's suffering from bruised everywhere, road rash. She is in a very critical state. She is fine. She's recuperating. She's conscious. She is gonna be okay. Will she ever race again? We're not even gonna get there yet. That's the type of crash it was. And you're reminding me, unfortunately, of a crash I've seen in 2011. Unfortunately, that cyclist never recovered. He passed away hours after the crash. Wouter Whelan in the 2011 Giro d'Italia. He crashed in a very similar situation, in a very perilous descent, very humid context in the Giro. It was literally wet road with big holes in the road that caused that crash. In Rio, it's the descent, the topsy-turvy, very, very perilous descent with roads that are not to the caliber of what riders are used to. And that's the reason of this crash, the quality of the road. She could have died, Duane, because of the quality of the road. In that, just because they want to make a spectacular course, nobody should deserve to die by practicing a sport, especially not just for the glamour of it. They could have easily done a road course that would be more fitting to a normal.
When I walk down.
Yeah, it would be more fitting to a normal Olympic circuit if they would have been in normal track. No, they wanted to do mountain, a very spectacular mountain race. We saw the result.
Yeah, no, exactly. I look, I watched that live. And I messaged Kevin immediately after, because I was at that point, I didn't know the condition of the athlete. I was searching Twitter, I was searching the Google machine, all sorts of things like that. And I said to you, it looked like it could have killed her. Like, it absolutely looked like because she was ragdoll on that side, and it was just terrifying to watch. And of course, the commentators, which I felt for them, because they have to continue calling the race, and they're like wondering it too, and they don't know. But meanwhile, this is the Olympic gold, the Olympic race is happening, and there's people chasing for gold. And you also understand, you feel for the athlete who did win. Do you have her name by chance? I don't have it written down in front of me. It's a Dutch rider, nonetheless. So
yeah, Anna van Vleuten. Oh, the person who won. Okay, I don't have it in front of me. Give me a second. I don't have it, but yes, it was her. Martha Moritz. And no, that's the Netherlands Mission. But anyways, it's a Netherlands. It's her teammate that was just behind her when that happened. Well, yeah, she was like they couldn't see each other. She didn't see the crash. Oh, it's Anna van der Breggen who won the gold medal.
Yeah, and you got to think that as much as, and she did celebrate it, obviously you would, but at the same time, in the back of her mind, her teammate, she passed her on the street. She doesn't know what that condition of the teammate is at that point. So everything's tainted by that, and that's all because they wanted it to be pretty. And the same thing we talked about it with the rowing course, that it's unfortunate because the safety of the athlete should take precedence, right?
In this instant, because to be fair, usually an Olympic road course for a road race will be for sprinters, or usually for rouleurs, which a circuit that has some climbing in it, but not enough to differentiate from the best climbers, because some the Tour de France is different. It's not the same type of course usually. But this time around, they decided to a very climb heavy road race, and for that to happen, they used the mountain next to the city, and they showcase the beautiful image. But the conditions of the road weren't up to par, and it's the one thing that should have been okay. If you want to do that type of race, fine, but make sure the roads is fine, and make sure that there's contingency plans, and make sure that there's spotters to watch the road to make sure it's safe. Because if you look at that crash correctly, the speed mixed with the damp condition, which means that the road is slippery, not the best asphalt right out there. You just need a small pebble on the road, make you lose your control of your bike. And unfortunate is not even the right word. It's I I'm a loss for word. Literally, I just hope she recovers. I hope it's not the end of her career, because that is just. I blame the organizers of this race. Literally, it's their fault, and that's without Vincenzo Nibali the day before broken 2 collarbone, one of the favorite in the lead to win the damn race, and he falls and he breaks his collarbone in the same similar fashion. It wasn't in the same spot, but it wasn't almost for the same exact reason and the circumstances. So no, the designer of the road races for men and women should be literally almost liable for the injuries of the riders.
Yeah, it's too bad. I assume that the time trials are going to be on the same course too.
Well, it'll be a little different. It'll be more flat for the time trial, so there's not going to be very danger there. Okay. But the road condition will be a factor, because times are probably not going to be best, and riders are going to take care of themselves. But at least for a time trial, it's very more flat, and it goes to riders that generate a lot of power on the flat-ish type of surface. You will have small climbs, but overall, it'll be a way more flat circuit.
I know that to make a Canadian reference, Claire Hughes, that was her best event, was the time trial, because it was just that power and the ability to sustain it over a long period of time. So it's not really as technical. Is that a correct way?
Yeah, it's technical, but
it's a big engine. You have to have a big engine.
Yeah, but it's the ability to suffer, the ability to surpass your pain threshold, because literally you're going to cramp. And the more you cramp, the more you just got to push through. And you got to give 100% of your ability. When you cross the finish line in a cycling time trial, you have to be 100% exhausted and done, because if not, you could have done better. You could have got a better time. So that's why it's exhausted. It's very more difficult. That's not a good phrase of words putting together, but it's fine. It's very hard for cyclists to do time trial, because you're looking at a 54, 55, depending on the type of course, average per hour. So that's kind of crazy in kilometers.
All right. There's a lot to unpack there, and you're absolutely right that the precedence of the safety of the athletes should have taken precedence over the beauty of the course, or whatever they wanted to highlight from a marketing tourism kind of perspective. So that's unfortunate, but let's move on. And luckily, my wood medal of the day is a little lighter. Nonetheless, I'm going to go on a quick rant here. I just got my Sportsnet magazine that I subscribe to every month. Good Canadian content, some great writing in that. I enjoy getting it. But the cover today, the first week of the Olympics, they only get 2 weeks. Summer Olympians only get 2 weeks every 4 years, where they are the front and center, the people that people celebrate. So guess what? Do you think the cover would be under grass? Do you think it would be?
Maybe like, I don't know, the Rugby 7 or the Canadian women's national team in soccer, right? That must be St. Clair on top of it.
Yeah, no, it's a hockey player.
No.
It's I'm trying to. It's one of the.
Is it a McDavid?
No, I'm trying to figure out who it is. Actually, it's a Team Canada player. It's one of the defensemen. I don't want to get him wrong. So I tweeted the photo out. If anyone of the magazine, the cover of the magazine, or if anyone wants to look it out. But Sportsnet, who paid, I think. Do you think there's any connection between the fact that they're losing their shirt on the NHL contract?
Jonathan Taves.
Oh, is it Jonathan Taves? There you go. So yeah, that would make some sense. Anyway, so that's the when the first week of the Olympics, they're going to highlight a guy that gets attention every day of the week here in Canada, every day, all year round.
In the winter sport in August, for all that matter.
Yeah, so amazing. And it's because they're trying to pump their faux World Cup, or the faux cup, if you prefer.
Let's call it the faux cup for now on.
Yeah, they're trying to pump the faux cup of hockey. So that's what that's about. So that's my wood medal is, and it in general it can go out. And look, there was an infamous tweet that went out yesterday. The Chicago Tribune, instead of identifying a Olympic bronze medalist from the United States, they called her, and I'm just as bad right now because I don't have her name in front of me, but I'm not going to call her husband's name. That's what they said. It's like blank's husband name, who played for the Chicago Bears. So like this idea that the amateur athletes have to be tied in, and there's another level of that with the female aspect, but the idea that the amateur athletes have to put in context and can't get the glory for just 2 damn weeks on their own accord is a bit troublesome in the media overall. So that's kind of my wood medal there. I'll give a little bit of credit to the CBC though, because for instance, Penny's brother is an NHL player, but it was only well into the conversation about her accomplishments that they brought that up. And at that point, it's fine because the spouse or the brothers and the spouses and the parents of these athletes often get mentioned. So it's not out of the ordinary. The Kia Nurse, the Canadian basketball player, her brother Darnell is prospect of the Edmonton Oilers. Again, they always focus on her first and then talk about him after. And they talk about anyone's brother, especially if they're an athlete within that context. So I think they're doing it right on the CBC so far. But this idea that the amateur athletes have to always go below the pros is a bit troublesome, especially for guys that are on a Five Rings podcast talking about this all the time, Kevin.
Exactly. All right. My bronze. So let's move to positives here. My bronze medal is Juan Martin del Potro for the second consecutive Olympic tennis tournament. He eliminates the number one in the world, Novak Djokovic. This time in round number one, the emotion in both tennismen after the game was overwhelming. Both started bawling on that tennis court like crybabies. Novak with the opportunity missed again. He missed a chance of getting the only title missing his entire career that he doesn't have yet, because it's missing. Yes, if it's missing because he doesn't have it. So Novak Djokovic doesn't have the Olympic gold medal. He won't have it until 2020. And if he makes it to Tokyo, that's the question. He has to make it there now. So he was really distraught after this win, but it's a good friend of his is Del Potro. So he was really happy for him in the same way. And Del Potro maybe might have played the game of his life. 7-6, 7-6, beat Djokovic in 2 straight tiebreaker sets. Great play. He literally hold on as much as he could, and he eventually got the tiebreaker wins in both cases. And for Juan Martin del Potro, it might be the best, literally the highest accomplishment of his career is to beat Djokovic twice at the Olympics. Not that easy to do.
Yeah, well, he has a medal from the last Olympics too, so he's an Olympic specialist at this point, right?
He beat them in third round in the quarters in 2012, and this time in round one. So for Del Potro, because he's ranked 145th in the world right now, but that's because of a wrist injury that took long to heal. He's making his comeback, and he's still not 100% because he cannot do his backhand correctly. So he always slices from his backhand. So you had to deal with Novak knowing that he can just do this and still having to do it all game long. And the fact that he beat Djokovic in round one, knowing that he can only do slice shots from his backhand, so basically only drop shots, yeah, that's quite an accomplishment, Duane.
No, absolutely. And he was stuck in an elevator for an
40
hour.
minutes.
Yeah. So
the morning of it, you see pictures of him like all on Twitter and all that.
That's like the Nigerian soccer team that started the day in Atlanta and ended the day in Rio with 3 points. So that was the day before the Olympics started. Phenomenal stories there. Look, the Olympics tennis tournament is weird, and there's no doubt that some of the biggest lights in the world of tennis may not take it as seriously at times. We talked about Milos already and him deciding to skip it. However, it was clear the way Djokovic left that court with tears in his eyes that this mattered to him. So anyone who's suggesting otherwise,
look at that. All the top four, they're only one missing of them. If you consider Milos in the top four, you can make an argument for it right now. So
Murray was hurt too. Yeah,
exactly. So Murray's there. Yeah, Djokovic was there. Nadal was there. Oh wait, Milos wasn't. I'm actually really today and yesterday seeing that match with Djokovic made me question Milos' decision. Who am I to question it? Very fair point, but I still am questioning it.
Yeah, I didn't get it at the time, and certainly we're seeing as I expected. And look, the games aren't over yet, and the whole we won't know the full impact of whatever environmental concerns there are until after the games are over. But so far, it doesn't look outside like the problems in Rio aren't health related. They're not environmental related. The water looks fine. It's the choices that they made before then the lead up, like where they put the rowing course, how they designed the cycling course. It's not necessarily about mosquitoes in the air. So I'm not too sure. And the tennis venue, there's absolutely no risk there. It was, and I like Milos a lot. He's one of my favorite athletes in the world, as anyone who listens to me knows. So I'm, reluctant to criticize him too much because I'm a fan deep down, but I here. I think that it was the decision that it struck me as if he was influenced by his people around him to skip it because they felt that it would be better for his career. And so it's a bit of a selfish decision. And for an athlete to be successful at the highest level, they have to be a little selfish. Yeah. So I kind of get it.
He has to win US Open now.
Yeah.
If he doesn't,
go deep in it anyway. Yeah.
He has to make it to the final or something. Otherwise it would have been for nothing. But yeah, that's my bronze, Del Potro. Quite a remarkable performance against Novak Djokovic.
All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to stick on the tennis venue for my bronze medal as well, and it's just finished a few moments ago. Nestor Pospisil, the Canadian doubles team with Grandpa Nestor, Grant Penester, who is the 2000 gold medalist. He was born, I think, in 1970 or something. He's in his 40s. He's absolutely an inspiration. Arguably the greatest Canadian tennis player of all time. I don't. The only reason it's arguably is because he's a doubles specialist, right?
Yes.
If you consider doubles to be the equal of singles, which I know isn't necessarily universally seen, there's no question about it.
Technically, it should, but practically, it's not.
Yeah. So, but even with that caveat you just gave, his accomplishments still make him up there with Milos 1-2 in terms of who's there for sure.
Just the amount of wins, Duane. Just the amount of wins, the amount of majors, the amount of tournament that he won over the years. It's outside of the Olympic tournament. It's quite mind-boggling and overwhelming when you look at the amount of numbers. Like, it's in the 3 numbers.
Yeah, and like I said, he's 2000 Olympic champion. So it's how many people in the Olympics history, and I'll have to go back and look this, and maybe we'll ask our friend Olympic Statman to tell us this, that if you defend an Olympic gold, I don't know if you called it defend, if you win it after you've won it the first time, if it's not the next Olympics, you know what I mean? But to go from 2000.
Partner as well, it was Sebastien Larreau in 2000.
So how many 4 Olympics away? Like, how many people have done that in the history of the Olympics? And he's not there yet. Let's be clear. But if he does manage to win this, and the tournament's pretty wide open right now, because
Murray brothers are out.
Yeah, it's the American team's still in there, but the Murray brothers are out.
The Williams are out. Oh wait, that's
the one side. Well, maybe Anyway, but the point is, like, that's an incredible accomplishment. It's rare it's very, very rare that an athlete is competitive 4 in a row. To win 1 and then miss the next 2 and then win the 4th one is like almost unheard of. I'd have to go back and look through the archives to see that. And he's in line now because they're looking really good. They dominated the Portuguese team today. The tournament, as you said, is wide open. They're in the quarterfinals now. They're 1 win away from being guaranteed to play for a medal, and that alone is an accomplishment that's worth celebrating. So Nestor Popisol's movement into the doubles tournament.
The trouble with those tournaments is just qualifying together, Duane. Being in the country and having enough points in the world ranking is the combination of both that you get to qualify for there. So just to get in that very small seeded tournament for the doubles, especially, it's quite an accomplishment in itself.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to your silver.
You thought we're not going to talk about her? You were wrong. My silver medal today, Duane, it's none other than the Silver Penny herself, Penny Oleksiak, my silver medal. And when I'm just saying this right now, I got goosebumps. I got chills. What she said after the race, it's definition of sports. It's the definition of what we imagine when we see ourselves doing sports in a competitive level to this level. She said, I just put my head down and swam the fastest as I could. I finished. I didn't look at the board.
Yeah, you didn't for a while either, did you?
I just didn't look at the board. I just swam the fast as I could because that's what I do. I swim fast, and I swim as fast as I can. If that gives me a medal, great. If it doesn't, I did my best. She looks up, sees her family going ape beep. She turns around. She sees the scoreboard. She just won a silver medal behind the Sweden, which first medal in Sweden swimming history, I believe. And it was a world record, by the way. And she was very, Penny was close to the world record pace. She didn't beat the old world record, but she would have been very close.
5th fastest swim all time.
And well, there you go. So 16, she just put her head down, Duane. I have chills. Isn't that the definition, like the purity of what we believe the Olympics should be? Isn't that type of story?
No, precisely. And look, for our international listeners that may not be as familiar with her story so far, she did not qualify for the Pan Am team last year.
She's not supposed to be here. She's not even supposed to be there. It's because she really swam amazingly 2 months ago.
Yeah, she swam her way onto the team. She swam in the juniors last year. She broke a junior world record, by the way, this week as well.
Yeah. This is all Canadian records, by the way. We'll have to mention it, but this is all Canadian records.
This country has not had a dominant swimmer, like a single swimmer that you can point to, like a Phelps on there, or whoever, like any of those massive dominant swimmers around the world. There's never really been here. The closest we've had may have been Alex Bauman way back when.
And he wasn't as dominant as a Phelps or a Thorpe was.
No, he was a double guy, not a 5 or 6 woman. She has the potential because she herself, she keeps talking about herself. She's awkward and she hasn't, she's clumsy and stuff like that. But she's not fully grown into what is an incredibly athletic body. She's from an athletic family and she's just an incredible athlete, right? She's not fully matured into that yet. So you can listen to Byron McDonald on the broadcast here in Canada talk about how dangerous and how excited all the swim candidates about what this woman is going to look like in 4 years' time.
Dwayne,
Lots can happen. I remember. Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
You know what she said to Arash Madani of Sportsnet after the race?
What's up?
She said, Arash, I still haven't found the feel for the water in Rio yet. I still don't have the feeling for this pool yet.
Yeah,
can you imagine when she gets it?
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
And we have to be careful. I remember a swimmer that actually, you folks in Montreal might remember this name, Brittany Reimer, who was massive, looked like she was going to be the next breakout swimming star. She won a couple medals, gold medals at the Montreal Aquatics Championship. She was a 400, 800, 1500 swimmer. And she went to the Athens Olympics. And then I think she's a realtor now. I looked it up today. It never really materialized. But then again, that girl was 18 when that was happening. Penny is 16, and that 2 years makes a big difference when you jump in at that age.
She just turned 16, Wayne. She just turned 16.
Yeah, it's quite an incredible story that's developing here. And it's been a while. I mentioned the rowing situation, and I drew an analogy that swimming bottomed out, and it seemed like a one straight program bottomed out around Athens. They didn't do anything. If you remember the Athens swim meet, it was depressing. Yeah. They were struggling to make semifinals. I think there was probably only, if memory serves, 4 or 5 Canadian swimmers that swam a second race, all for the entire meet. Forget making finals. One Canadian made a final. There were 4 that made the semis or something. It's crazy like that. It was just terrible. From that, they managed to improve piecemeal each Olympic since, and now it looks like this younger generation with probably on the podium type stuff that has come into the program is starting to emerge, and that is it's wonderful to see, because swimming so much, it so dictates the mood of a Olympic team in the first week.
Yeah, exactly. It's gets everybody going. And if you get a lot of medals in the pool, because it's in the type of event that you do have a lot of medals potentially in that event as a whole, like in the swimming. Like in some sport, you have one potential medal. In this sport, it's almost in the hundreds. So there's a lot of possibilities to get a lot of medal. But now, Penny Oleksiak, the Silver Penny, which she will be forever named until she wins a gold, which probably won't be that far from now.
All right. I'm going to move on to my silver. I'm going to go outside of Canada because we need to do that a little bit sometimes. And I'm going to go to the host country. Rafaela da Silva, 57-kilo judo gold. I watched that live. The atmosphere in that arena. Brazil is a country that loves its combat sports, its martial arts sports. Judo is very popular there. That arena was packed. They were going insane. She upset the defending gold medalist in the semifinal. When she rolled out there, it had all the aspects of a big MMA fighter, a big price, just the atmosphere and the intensity in the crowd. And when she won, it was just ecstatic. It jumped into the crowd. Brazil had a gold medal. It's always fun when the hosts win their first gold in an Olympics, and da Silva's gold was right up there and was a memorable one. And the commentator was saying that it was amazing to be in the arena. It felt like it was going to shake down, and I imagine that's something that anyone who was in there, regardless of whether they're Brazilian or not, will remember. And that's what the Olympics are all about, Kevin.
Little story about Rafaela da Silva, nicknamed the Princess of the Favela. She is from a favela. She was born and raised in a favela. The fact that she is here today is very intricate, is very complicated. She had to work hard, probably harder than anybody else in the same gym, because she had to show that she belonged. A kid that grew up with nothing and had to earn everything she had until this day. Those are the type of stories that Brazil only can probably create and generate, but her story is quite amazing.
Yeah, I think it's fitting that the first gold for the host was someone who grew up in a favela from Rio.
It reminds me of Caddy Freeman in Sydney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very similar. You're right. It has that appeal and that sort of globalness that everyone understands instantly. So it was a very nice moment, and I hope that everyone had a chance to see it. It was not broadcast live on the main network here where I am. I had to find it in the back channels, but certainly you could get it if you wanted, and it was a good thing to see, great thing to see.
And if you're wondering which favela she was in the Cidade de Deus, so the city of God. That's the favela in Rio she is from.
Okay, so that was a great moment there. Kevin, what's your next medal?
My gold medal is the Rugby Sevens tournament as a whole. Canada's performance for the bronze medal. Who knew that Canadian teams, after in 2012 we won the first medal, in 18 sports for the women in forever. Now it's 2 Olympics in a row. Rugby Sevens, even before Canada does anything on the soccer side. So congratulations to the Rugby Sevens Canada team. Same goes to New Zealand and the Aussie, who won gold for the Australians and silver for New Zealand. The tournament as a whole, Dwayne, was very impressive, very entertaining. The 7 on the actual size rugby pitch, so interesting. Gaps are created so easily. It's such a more spectacular game than a rugby 15 type of game, but such a very athletic, very impressive. In that tournament as a whole, even though the stands were empty for a majority of the tournament, it was quite a great battle, literally, on that pitch.
Yeah, look, it's very intuitive to anyone who's grown up watching football, right? Like you get it right away, like the cuts and the runs. I mean, obviously rugby has different rules, but nonetheless, the scoring plays and the running plays look like it's like a football game if it was just kick returns in many ways that never end with laterals constantly. It's exciting that way. And the women play so intensely, and so they're amazing athletes, and it was great to see across the board. And obviously, the local hook here, the rugby 7 women's team as a Canadian medalist now is going to be, well, they should probably get Christine Sinclair's phone number and find out what the next few months of their life is going to be like, because I suspect that that's a little bit like it. There's not quite the same one dominant Jen Kish, maybe the woman with all the tattoos. She's pretty prominent, but yeah. Other than that, there's not one single individual that's jumping out.
And I know that's not going to happen, but hopefully a little part of one medal goes to Magali. You know, that could be nice. She helped the team qualify to get there.
Yeah, and the jerseys are great too, by the way. I think we might mention that in a couple. We're going to look into that a bit more because there's a story there that's not really getting told. And I think that think about an analogy I'm going to give. Harvey, if you don't know, Harvey, pardon me, if you don't know, was the World Player of the Year 2 years ago. So could you imagine in a popular male sport, the World Player of the Year being left off the Olympic team 2 years later? Something to look into. They didn't say it was for injury. They said that she didn't fit into the team concept of the team. So that's a bit of a weird thing. It's something to look into. But I don't want to take too much away from the performance today, though, which was gutsy because they didn't play up to their expectations throughout this tournament, especially after the first day, Kevin. But they found a way. After they got their butts handed to them by England in their by Great Britain in the final.
I was going to say, Dwayne, come on, it's born in England. It was Great Britain.
Yeah, there was a couple non-English athletes on it too. The way that they worked,
it's more in England to take down Rugby Canada. Come on.
I actually in the preview I talked about this, but the way that Team GB was, they had a tournament amongst their 4 home nations, and then the winner of that was England. So it was England for the most part, but they were allowed to bring in a few other players, and there was a Welsh woman on there, and I think there was a Scottish woman as well. So just one Welsh. There was just one Welsh woman, and the rest were English teams. So at any rate, that's how the team was made up. But anyway, they handled Canada, and when I had said when I was heading into that bronze game, I went in with kind of trepidation because I don't know. But as soon as they got going, that was the best game they played. And if you play your best game when the medal's on the line, then that's a good thing. And losing to Australia is no shame because Australia went on to show how dominant they were by winning the gold medal.
Exactly. So it brings us to your gold medal, Dwayne.
All right, 18 points down in the third quarter. Everyone's assuming that, oh God, here's Canada again. They have a great performance to start a tournament, but they can't consistently. They beat the team that's ranked 1 spot above them, but they're going to lose to the team that's ranked 7 spots below them in the world rankings. And then Kia Nurse and the rest of the women on that basketball team got rolling. They got the full court press going, and they overturned an 18-point deficit to beat the Serbians and to go 2-0 in that tournament. And that 2-0 will probably mean that they're in the knockout stage now. They have a chance, if they can beat Spain, to get a very winnable game and be playing themselves for a medal. And we might have another great Canadian team sports story happening right on our backside. And that fourth quarter was as intense as any Raptors playoff game I watched this year. The reactions of the crowd and the players and they basically more or less a neutral crowd was into it too, because you can always tell when a basketball game gets rolling that it's a good thing going on there. So my gold medal goes to Kia Nurse primarily for leading the charge, but also for the coach of the Canadian women's national team for recognizing that the press was going to work in that fourth quarter, and just for the determination of that team to overcome such a large deficit. They had the win in the bank. They're probably going to make the knockout round even if they lose today. You could have just put your head down and said, okay, let's focus on the Spain game and forget this one. It's done. But they didn't. They kept going, and they now have put themselves in a very nice position where they can get a winnable quarterfinal round. So my gold medal goes to Basketball Canada and the women for the 18-point comeback today. Real quickly before before we say goodbye on that, I did want to give an honorary gold medal as well to an event that happened after I created my notes. And that's Japan winning the men's overall gymnastics championship.
Oh, wow.
That is the first time they finally got the best of their Chinese rivals. That was a big storyline internationally going into this. The Japan that's what they wanted more than anything else in this Olympics. So they got it. So good for them. And so that one might have gotten forgotten if I didn't say it now. So I got it out there.
And just before their own Olympic Games in 4 years. So that's at the table because let's face it, I think the last 15 international competitions, the gymnastic at that level, the last 15 meets, China and Japan have won all of them. China the majority, but Japan the ones that China didn't win.
Exactly. All right. Any final thoughts, Kevin?
No, pretty much that's it for today. So stay tuned to the Sports Podcasting Network for Soccer Today coming very shortly tomorrow and a little later tomorrow during the day, 5 Rings Daily. And until then, own your podium, folks. You were listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us, sportspodcastingnetwork.com.